So not very often people actually see me, though they hear my voice on a regular basis on many radio stations. But this creates a big honor for me because I was requested by Sherry Harvey to interview her because, well, in respect, she's had a couple of big weeks happening with what she's been up to. Hello, Sherry.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And what a pleasure to meet up. Obviously, not in our usual manner. We normally are together or some event getting together. But of course, with social distancing, we've had to rely on the wonderful world of technology and Zoom, which is what we're using now.
Yes, back to our old habits of working from home in a good old Zoom meeting.
As I said at the very start, you've been a busy girl over the last few weeks. And I say over the last few weeks, that's an understatement because respectfully, I know that this hasn't all just come along in the last 2 weeks. It's, throughout the weeks of the years and beyond. And first of all, congratulations, because me just wearing a red tie is a bit of an understatement for actually what you're wearing right now. Now, do forgive me if I get this wrong, but it's probably a blokey thing. But I believe you're wearing is it a sash and a crown?
That's correct.
Can I get
Yes.
brownie
Everyone
points?
usually says tiara, so congratulations. It's actually a crown I'm wearing.
Somebody said it was a tiara. Now, I can tell you right away, I believe a tiara is a smaller version of a crown.
Yes, they're the ones that usually just go across like here, obviously very often worn by Princess Diana or Kate Middleton. You see them wearing a lot of tiaras.
Right. Okay. Right. So basically, tell us all about what you've been up to. Come on. Why are you wearing then the crown and the sash?
So, of course, so as obviously you know, we met a couple of years ago I had a very slightly different sash on. It was a lovely light little blue that said Miss Wiltshire Atlantic because, as you know, I compete in beauty pageants, and for the past 27 months, I'm going to say, I've been working towards the Miss Atlantic title. I say in 27 months because I competed in the same system last year where I came top 5.
Yes.
And the past 16 months, I re-entered and decided, nope, I'm going to go for this title again. And on April 24th, I walked away as Miss Atlantic 2021-22. So I get to have this lovely sash and crown for a year.
Well, absolutely. At the end of the day, I think you've nipped it in the bud. It was that determination, as you say. You fell in love with the system, and obviously you say you were placed at top 5, but you knew you had to go back at that point. And what I am going to tell our viewers right now, don't think of this young lady just basically dresses up pretty and goes out and wins the prizes, because there is a lot of things that have been going on in your life in the background. And it's in respect, the things that have been happening when you were a child is made you stronger, hasn't it?
That's correct. It's kind of the whole reason why I went into beauty pageants. I was a severely bullied child. I had no self-confidence. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think I was worthy of anything. And I just saw an advert one day on Facebook about an online pageant. And I actually only entered it as a way to like torture myself, to prove everyone right. I said, yes, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm what all of those words they call me. I thought this is it. This is just do it, because a couple of years prior to that, I had gone so low in my depression that I had tried to take my own life. So I was at a rock bottom in my whole life, and I entered this online pageant just as a way of torturing myself, just to hear the same words, I guess, again and again, because it was just a repeat. And somehow I didn't hear the words I'd been told my whole life. I actually won that pageant. So here I am 8 years later. I've dived into the world of pageantry a lot more, and it's helped me become the woman I am today. It's helped me to be able to be stronger as a person. I know who I'm, so much more confident in my own skin and in who I am. And now I actually give back to my community and do my charity work to help other people get into the same position that I'm in now, and how comfortable I am in myself.
Yeah, I was just going to reflect on your charity side. And obviously, you're not just doing this as a goodie so that basically the light shines brighter on you. If I may, can we go back to your childhood days? Because obviously you didn't have a great family life and, a great child life, because sadly you were at the position where you had to look after your parents, I believe.
Yes, so at the age of 4, I became the youngest registered young carer at the age of 4, and that's after I found my dad collapsed at the bottom of the stairs. So he became bedbound, and bless my mum, she quit full-time work to help look after him, but within a couple of years she became very ill. So by the age of 6 or 7 years old, I was looking after my whole family, because my brother, bless his heart, he was very well with me and we kind of shared the chores, but he was on and off dealing with his own health as well. So is, despite the fact that I have my own health problems, I think I was the healthiest of all my family. So I grew up very, very fast. I became a young adult at a very young age. So I didn't get that normal childhood or that normal family dynamic, because I was looking after everybody else.
Right. And I believe this was from about, what, 4 years old?
Yeah, from the age of 4.
Yeah.
So nearly 20 years I've been doing that.
So basically, you know, pushing the Hoover around and things of that nature, as you say, and always being sort of, you know, 50% plus of your mind always concerned about your family member. Obviously, that must have interfered with education at school and things of that nature. It must have been very difficult.
Very with pageants, like everyone thinks, oh, they're all just pretty girls. Obviously, a lot of them are breaking the stereotypes because there's a lot of girls out there going with degrees. But I didn't actually do that very well in my exams. I did very well in my maths, but that's because numbers have always been my thing. But I didn't actually get a lot of GCSEs. I didn't complete my A levels. I started working from a very young age to help bring in extra money into the house. So I've been working since the age of 14, doing, like, even if it's just a small paper round or volunteering at a shop. So I didn't actually complete school very well, and I really struggled to connect with my peers, because while they're all talking about normal things maybe kids would talk about, I couldn't connect because I didn't get to have those experiences. And obviously growing up, there's such pivotal moments and things that you learn as a child, like social interaction, how to talk, and like making friends is just something you learn from a very young age. I didn't really get that. I struggled so much with it. So I had to learn that over the last few years, specifically because I couldn't really keep up with the conversation. But you can ask my friends now, they slightly understand it more. Like, I'll be stood in the conversations like, what are you all talking about? I have no thing I can contribute to these conversations anymore, because I just run out of things to say. And I'm like, how do people keep friendships for as long as they do? Because I'd be like, I've known you for 2 years, you know everything. What else do we need to talk about?
It is difficult, I can imagine. Yeah.
It is something that is very difficult.
Yeah, it's like being pulled out of the community, isn't it, at the end of the day? But respectfully to you, obviously, you know, you've not just gone out there to show, you know, glam. You've used this to a degree of, where, as you say, you've now started up a system where you can get educating the younger people of how, you know, they can look after their family members if it's a situation like yours, and basically they're not left on their own. So enlighten me what that's more about, please.
Yeah, so about the last year I've been, so pageantries all have their own little, each pageant girl has their own little platform, and it's not something you have to have, but it's always something that you stand for as a person. That's kind of the whole concept of it. And the one thing that over the last few years I've always stood for is helping young carers. So I've done fundraising for our local carers before in the past, but this, like, past year especially, I said, you know what, if I want, the one legacy I want to leave behind is to make sure that no other child went through what I went through. So that's where Caring for Childhood came up. And I'm hoping this weekend will be the official launch of my website, fingers crossed. But I'm very, very much of a perfectionist, so I do want it to be perfect before I upload it to the world. And what Caring for Childhood is, it's to educate people on what a young carer is, what they do, how they can help support young carers. And it's also going to be a little outlet for young carers, so they can go on and read it and say, I'm not the only one in the world that's going through this, someone understands. Or if there's someone out there, because when you're a young carer, you might not necessarily know you are a young carer, because to you it's just you're doing what people should do, which is look after your family. So to connect a young carer and that with yourself when you're just doing your normal day-to-day life, it's very difficult. So it will help people maybe recognize the things that they're doing is things that they can get help with. So it will signpost them to their local communities. If they're struggling with their mental health, there'll be numbers and advice and websites for them. There'll be a whole heap of signposting, because obviously I'm not a trained professional, however much I wish I could talk to every single one and help them. I want to be able to instead be that middle person saying, actually, if you need this help, or if you are struggling with so many things, here is this advice blog almost saying, this is where you can go, this is what they do, this is what they specialize in, just to help make their life so much more easier, so they don't have to go through what I did.
So it sounds like you've sort of found, you know, a desperate gap in the market where this sort of thing that you're offering wasn't available before.
No, so there was nothing like this when I was around. Obviously, Swindon Carer Centre is one of the best young carer centres, I believe, because they do so much work with our local schools. But obviously, they've been doing that over the last few years. Obviously, I've not been in school for nearly 7, 8 years. That wasn't around when I was a young carer. It was still quite a weird topic, and for people to realise, much the same as like mental health is only becoming such a talked about subject the last few years. When I was younger, it was such a taboo, and like kids didn't struggle with this isn't, kids are just being kids. So the fact that there is still this gap, saying actually I went through all this, so it's time for me to tell you this is what went wrong all these years ago. So let's not forget about these kids and these people who deserve a good chance to get the good grades, and so that they can do what they want to do no matter what the situation is. And I guess that's why I want to do it, because despite the fact that I've been caring for my family for nearly 20 years, I'm sat here and doing my hobbies and something that I love, and I'm giving back to my community and still looking after my family. So it's been able to be that little beacon saying, actually, you know what, you can care, and it's a tough time now, but there is a light at the end of that tunnel.
I think the whole thing that I feel from what you're coming across is that enthusiasm and that determination, and that's obviously what it gives it its main drive, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
it is.
Yeah, and respectfully to you, obviously now you're a pretty well sort of recognized character in Swindon and beyond. Of course, I appreciate that. Let's get back to the glory side, as they say, because it's not all gloom and doom. Yeah, obviously you've been through a lot to get to your position where you are right now. So when was the crown and sash? When was this all? When did you actually win it?
So the 24th of April was the official finals.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do it all virtually this year because we are pandemic adjusting.
Yes.
Usually I would be off somewhere in the country on a
Parading.
stage,
yes,
doing my bit of a catwalk, my little bit of fun that I do once a year. But so I was meant to compete in January, but due to the pandemic, it got pushed back to April. And so we had to all go out and film our catwalks instead. So we could either do it in our home, outside, on a location, as long as you're abiding by all COVID regulations. That was the only rule we had to ensure that you're being safe and you're not breaking any COVID rules, because that's very silly to be doing in this time at the moment. So we went out, filmed it all, and then on the 24th of April in the early afternoon, we had an interview with our judges. And then at 8 o'clock, the official Miss Atlantic stream started, where all of our videos were shown. And by 10 o'clock, by 10:30, my crowning had been then done. There's still a couple of categories. I think crowning was done by 11:30 at the very latest.
That's incredible. So how many take part in the whole event?
So I believe my category, there was a maximum of 20. However, where a couple of months beforehand, my director very kindly said, I understand this is not what you signed up for. This is not the situation. So you have a choice. You can either stay within your category this year, or you can defer and do it on stage next year. And I think after that, my category went down to about 10 girls. So we were cut in half nearly.
Oh, okay. Yes. Just to shine a light on it, because a lot of people ask me this, and no doubt yourself all the time. Obviously, we always say, oh, it's Miss Wiltshire, but obviously it's known as Miss Atlantic. So what makes that different? And you can explain to our viewers right now.
Yeah, so with pageants, there is different levels of pageantry. So we've got like our charity ones, which aren't contracted, and you just go in as a finalist for a bit of fun and you raise money for charity. You've got your regional titles, which is what I originally was. So I was Miss Wiltshire Atlantic. So I was representing Wiltshire. That was my title, and I would then be competing for the Atlantic title. So that would be the national title. So where I was Miss Wiltshire is my regional title. So I'm all around here. So I had to submit an application form to become Miss Wiltshire Atlantic. And then I competed representing Wiltshire in the national final for Miss Atlantic.
And well done to you. And in your full glory today, as I say, showing off the sash and the crown. And
you're one of the first people who are actually fully interviewing me in my sash and crown, because it was all virtual and obviously we didn't know who would win until that evening. All of this had to be posted out, where usually we're there on the day and we get crowned. So all of this was posted out, and a friend of mine actually collected mine for me because they live close to my director. So I got this on Tuesday. So a few days later, you're the first one who gets to interview me in my full sash and
feel
crown.
highly honoured. I think I might have missed the dress code because I'm still wearing the red tie, you know.
That's all right.
All right, yeah. Is there a Mr. Atlantic? Is there a chance for me to enter anything like this, or am I just hoping too much?
At the current moment, there is no Mr. Atlantic, but there are definitely male pageants that you could enter. So it's not out of there yet. So maybe not Mr. Atlantic, but there is definitely a few out there for you.
You know what they say, you shouldn't give me bad ideas. Can
But
I
never
just
a bad
say,
idea.
yeah, well, as always, looking as pretty as ever, and hence the reason, of course, you won. Congratulations, not just from myself, but of course, all the viewers. No doubt we're going to see a lot more of you as the summer months head
Most definitely.
in the UK. And of course, social distancing is slightly thinning out, I'm pleased to say. And I will get that cuddle from you before the year 2022. I trust me, you know.
You've got till April 2022 to be able to get a cuddle with before I officially hand over. So I'm sure we'll definitely see each other before then.
Well, I'm sure I'll be highly honored. So, yeah, what a pleasure. Thank you very, very much for today, by the way. And thank you for letting me be the first to interview you in your full glory, as they say. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully our viewers enjoy the interview as much as I have with you today. A pleasure. Thank you very much again to Sherry Harvey there. And as I say, you know, keep fighting through, and determination and drive. You've heard it from Sherry Harvey. That is the answer to whatever you want to achieve in life. Is that right?
That is very much correct, Adrian.
There we are. You heard it from the lady herself. Thank you very much.